So Angel Reese, the most toxic player in all of basketball, is out here slapping clipboards out of her coaching staff's hand because she's so mad her team committed a foul in the crunch after she shot 15 free throws this game. This is the lowest of the low disrespect that you can show to your coaching staff. She trying to get y'all locked in, worried about the next play, and you so toxic with your terrible, awful attitude that you slap the clipboard out.
Angel Reese just slapped a clipboard out of the hands of her own coaching staff on national television. With the game tied and everything on the line, the Chicago Sky's biggest star had a complete meltdown. But this was far more than just a simple temper tantrum. It was a stunning act of public defiance, a direct challenge to the authority of her legendary Hall of Fame coach, Teresa Weatherspoon, and a moment that has exposed the deep, ugly cracks in a franchise teetering on the brink of collapse. This is the story of a toxic power struggle between a player who believes she is untouchable and an organization that seems terrified to prove her wrong.
Well, we know Angel Reese has definitely been in the headlines, man, after erupting in a press conference, pretty much swearing at reporters. And I'm here to tell you today is another day of the Angel Reese drama because she has simply smacked the clipboard out of an assistant coach's hands. Yes, now all of this went down during the Washington Mystics game. This happened on
The scene was set for high drama. The Chicago Sky were locked in a tense, down-to-the-wire battle against the Washington Mystics. With less than 30 seconds left on the clock and the score knotted at 77, every decision, every movement was critical. This is the moment when champions are forged in fire and composure. But instead of seeing a leader rise to the occasion, the world watched as one fell apart. In a fit of blinding frustration over a foul call, Angel Reese abandoned the huddle, stomped towards the sideline, and unleashed her anger not on an empty chair or a water cooler, but on a human being. She slapped a clipboard directly out of the hands of assistant coach Ann Crosby.
The referees blew every whistle. Like, I'm not joking. There was one play where Angel Reese dribbled backward. She backed into Aaliyah Edwards and tripped over her own feet and got free throws. The free throws that led to this happening were unbelievably soft. That led to Angel Reese breaking a coach's clipboard, walking over and slapping a coach's clipboard, and
Let's be perfectly clear about the gravity of this moment. Ann Crosby isn't just another assistant, she is the team's vice president of basketball operations, a respected executive figure within the organization. This wasn't a player venting at a peer, it was a rookie publicly disrespecting a figure of authority in the most demeaning way possible. This act of defiance wasn't hidden in the locker room or whispered on the bench. It was a front and center spectacle, broadcast in crystal clear high definition for millions to witness. In that instant, the basketball game became secondary. The real story was the raw, unfiltered power struggle playing out for all to see, turning a crucial timeout into a live-action display of insubordination and chaos.
A lot of people are picking up on is when she is walking over to the bench and she slaps the clipboard out of her coach's hand. And you guys, my honest reaction to this when I first saw it, I was just laughing. It's kind of like the reaction that you're seeing from me right here. I wouldn't look into this too hard. I know it's already become controversial because they're like, oh, if another player did this, there would be think pieces written about it.
This explosive moment perfectly captures the deep and troubling paradox of Angel Reese. On one hand, she is a cultural phenomenon, a marketing genius who has built an empire on her brand. As the Bayou Barbie, she is a social media titan who commands millions of followers and has redefined player influence. She's the new face of the NBA 2K26 video game, a testament to her global reach. She has her own signature shoe line with Reebok, lucrative deals with brands from Beats by Dre to Raising Cane's, and has graced the covers of magazines. She masterfully presents herself as a bold, unapologetic role model, empowering a new generation to be confident and take up space. Her brand is meticulously polished, powerful, and profitable.
Are you okay, Barbie? The emotional decline continues for Angel Reese. The temper tantrums, the complete loss of emotional control continues for the Bayou Barbie, as well as the Chi-Town Barbie and Double Double Barbie, and whatever other alias that Angel Reese has decided.
But then there is the other side, the side that slapped the clipboard. This isn't a separate person, it's the raw, unfiltered behavior that consistently contradicts the polished image. This is the Angel Reese who engages in combative press conferences, who seems to thrive on conflict, and who has built a reputation for letting her emotions hijack her professionalism. Her history is filled with moments of on-court theatrics and off-court feuds that keep her in the headlines for all the wrong reasons. The clipboard incident wasn't an anomaly, it was the latest and most glaring entry in a long resume of questionable conduct. It forces us to ask a deeply unsettling question: is the powerful brand just a facade for a volatile athlete who lacks the emotional control to truly lead?
Angel Reese, part 49! Let's get it! Why are they playing at 11:30 in the morning? What is this, summer camp? Bye! Look at, she's calling ISO! Get out the way! They say her handle is as smooth as butter. Did somebody say butter? Butter pecan! Everybody now, you heard a lot of chatter and commentary that Angel could shoot now. She's really worked on that 3-ball. One file, destruction of property charge. She's trying to break all the windows in the building. Check this out. Oh! Bye!
Standing on the sideline, forced to witness this entire debacle, was head coach Teresa Weatherspoon. Her presence in this story elevates it from a simple player meltdown to a true clash of titans. Weatherspoon is not just a coach, she is basketball royalty, a Hall of Famer whose name carries immense weight. As a player for the New York Liberty, she was the heart and soul of the league's early days, a ferocious competitor known for her iron will and a passion so intense it was legendary. Her game-winning half-court buzzer beater is one of the most iconic moments in WNBA history. She was hired by the Chicago Sky for one reason: to instill that exact brand of toughness, discipline, and accountability into a young team.
That's something that has yet to come together, but it's a necessity for us to win, Pagliocca said. She's had some great games, and she's had some games like everybody else that haven't been her best. But she's our best chance at versatility on this roster. We need more production out of her, but we need her to help us in other ways too. We need more production out of her. Jeff Pagliocca has been seeing some of the disappointment.
Now, she is trapped in an utterly impossible position. Her entire reputation is built on demanding respect and controlling a locker room. So how does a coach like that handle her star player, the face of her franchise, publicly humiliating a member of her staff? The options are all disastrous. If she benches Reese or issues a public punishment, she risks a full-blown war with her most important player, potentially fracturing the team beyond repair. But if she does nothing, she sends a catastrophic message to every other player that the rules don't apply to the star. Her authority evaporates. The culture she was hired to build crumbles before it's even begun. Her inaction in that moment and in the days that followed speaks volumes, creating a vacuum of leadership that is being filled with speculation and chaos.
A very political guy, but Angel Reese showing her far right side here was not something I expected. Bang! Time to take another look at the strategy where you go into the paint and then hit fire. Not quite sure if it's a viable long-term strategy. Bang! I was gonna let destruction of property slide, but now we're gonna go for decapitation. Put her behind bars. Oh my gosh, and she's going crazy on her coach. Not the clipboard. No! Hey, your free throws. All is forgiven. What? How about it? Come on, please. Bang!
In the critical hours and days following the incident, the silence from the Chicago Sky organization was deafening. As the clip rocketed across the internet, dissected by fans and analysts, the team's leadership offered nothing. No statement, no disciplinary action, no accountability. The void was instead filled by Angel Reese herself, who took to social media not with an apology, but with a dismissive justification. "Those calls were pissing me off," she posted, a comment that served only to shift the blame to the referees and completely sidestep any responsibility for her actions. It was the classic non-apology of a person who believes they did nothing wrong.
Wild. All right, it was wild. I mean, tempers were flying. This was an all-out rivalry, man. All right? I mean, even Angel Reese was pissed at this moment. Look at this. Pissed. All right? Pissed. This was close to the end of the game. 29 seconds left. game tied, game on the line, and I think she was called for.
This official silence becomes even more damning when you place it alongside the public statements of general manager Jeff Pagliocca. Before the season, he spoke at length about his vision for the team, emphasizing a new culture built on accountability, professionalism, and mutual respect. These have now been exposed as hollow corporate buzzwords. How can you preach accountability while allowing your star player to act with impunity? This glaring hypocrisy suggests a front office that is either completely inept or, more likely, utterly terrified of upsetting its main attraction. The organization's passivity gives the impression that they are no longer in control. They are merely managing the brand of Angel Reese Inc., even when it comes at the expense of the team itself.
Angel Reese had a great game. She had 22 points, 15 rebounds. There were some questionable calls from the referees on both ends of the floor during this game against the Washington Mystics, and they ended up losing by 2 points at the end of the game. And so she's a competitor. Love or hate Angel Reese, she's a competitor. She's a fierce competitor. And I feel like this was just a moment where her frustrations got the best of her. Hopefully, later on, I'm sure she'll probably see this on social media and she'll go up to her coach and be like, my bad, coach. That was not cool of me. I shouldn't have slapped the clipboard.
This single moment of on-court chaos is not an isolated problem. It is a direct symptom of a much larger disease that is rotting the Chicago Sky from the inside out. Their dismal win-loss record is not just a result of poor shooting or flawed defensive schemes. It is the natural outcome of a team culture that has become fundamentally broken. When your star player's primary focus seems to be building her personal brand, engaging in social media spats, and cultivating a narrative of victimhood, you are not building a cohesive basketball team. You are producing a season-long reality show where the sport itself feels like an afterthought.
Why do you guys hate Angel Reese so much? The Angel Reese hate is so forced. This is why we hate the bricklaying slough. She has a terrible attitude, awful, toxic. This is why she has no friend.
The on-court product is a direct reflection of this off-court dysfunction. The team often appears disjointed, emotionally fragile, and lacking the unified fight necessary to win tough games. The daily drama, the endless cycle of controversies, and the public displays of frustration have created a toxic environment where individual egos are running rampant. Team chemistry, the invisible glue that holds championship teams together, has seemingly dissolved. The Chicago Sky are no longer just losing games on the scoreboard. They are losing their professional identity, morphing from a serious basketball organization into a viral sideshow that just happens to dribble a ball.
Angel Reese said that she was done being polite. She was done being humble. I'm done being silent. The Bayou Barbie is mad, mad, mad. And Barbie is about to start clapping back at the haters. To her credit, Angel Reese said what she meant and meant.
To truly understand the danger of this situation, perform a simple thought experiment. Imagine for a moment that it wasn't Angel Reese who slapped that clipboard. Imagine it was a rookie on a 10-day contract, a player at the end of the bench fighting desperately to keep her WNBA dreams alive. What would have happened to her? The answer is brutally simple. She would have been benched instantly. She would have been summoned to a post-game meeting where her professionalism would be questioned. A formal notice of a hefty fine and likely a multi-game suspension would have followed. She might even have been released from the team outright. The league and the team would have acted swiftly and decisively to send a clear message. This behavior is unacceptable.
This woman trying to show you a play, and you just gonna slap the clipboard out of her hand like that. On national TV. What a role model. Please, stop embarrassing us.
But because it was Angel Reese, the double-double machine, the social media darling, the economic engine of the franchise, a completely different set of rules applies. The rulebook on player conduct and respect for the coaching staff, it seems, has a secret chapter that only applies to superstars. This unspoken double standard is a cancer in a locker room. It breeds resentment and destroys morale. It tells every other player on that roster that their hard work and professionalism matter less than the fame and influence of one person. It doesn't just empower a single player, it creates a monster by teaching her that she is above the team, above the coach, and above the rules.
Something with the Chicago Sky team, they are not doing well this season. I think that is evident. It doesn't look like they are going to make playoffs, and this this was just a moment of frustration at the end of the game. It is funny though when you play the clip over and over. This was a warranted crash out.
This problem extends far beyond the walls of the Chicago Sky's locker room. It points to a much bigger issue for the WNBA itself. The league is currently experiencing a monumental surge in popularity, driven largely by a new generation of electrifying, headline-grabbing stars. Angel Reese is at the very center of that explosion. Her jersey is a bestseller, her games draw record viewership, and her social media presence brings millions of new eyes to the sport. The WNBA needs players like her to fuel its growth, but this incident forces a dangerous question. Is the league so desperate for the attention that it's willing to sacrifice its own integrity?
I'm not one to blow up negativity, but Angel Reese supposed to be leading young women and being a great example to girls and kids all over the world. Well, I'm here to tell you, she was not leading by example.
The league's silence on this matter is a strategic and cowardly decision. By refusing to step in and enforce its own code of conduct, the WNBA is effectively endorsing this behavior. It's a message to every player, coach, and executive that professional standards are secondary to marketability. When you allow your most visible stars to act without consequences, you don't just undermine one coach's authority, you undermine the authority of every coach in the league. You create an environment where players feel empowered to challenge the very structure of the sport. The WNBA is being held hostage by the same star power it so desperately needs, creating a conflict of interest that threatens the long-term health and credibility of the entire league. There is a forgotten blueprint for building a championship dynasty, and it has nothing to do with social media followers or endorsement deals. The greatest coaches in the history of basketball understood one fundamental truth: culture is more important than talent. Phil Jackson didn't win 11 championships by letting Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant do whatever they wanted. He famously challenged their egos, pushed them to trust their teammates, and forced them to grow into leaders, not just scorers. Greg Popovich built a 2-decade dynasty in San Antonio by holding Tim Duncan, a top 10 player of all time, to the exact same standard of selflessness and accountability as the last man on the bench. This is the path to greatness. Pat Riley's legendary Heat culture was forged in the fires of discipline. These iconic coaches knew that talent without accountability is just wasted potential. They understood that enabling a star's worst impulses for a short-term gain would lead to long-term rot. The Chicago Sky and Teresa Weatherspoon are now standing in direct opposition to this proven model. They are choosing the path of appeasement over accountability. Weatherspoon, who comes from that old-school world of fierce discipline, is tragically trapped in a modern era of player empowerment where the brand often eclipses the team. The blueprint for a trophy is right there, written by a dozen champions before them, but they are actively choosing to ignore it. The Chicago Sky is now standing at a perilous crossroads, and the future of the franchise hangs in the balance. The clipboard slap was not the cause of their problems. It was the explosive symptom of a deep-seated illness. This is a story of a star player's unchecked entitlement clashing with a legendary coach's silent authority. It's a battle between the demands of a personal brand and the needs of a collective team. It's the age-old conflict between raw, undeniable potential and the discipline required to achieve true greatness. Right now, on every single one of those fronts, the Chicago Sky is failing. This incident has set a dangerous precedent, and it has put Teresa Weatherspoon in a position where her credibility is on the line. What we witnessed was not the final chapter of this story. It was a warning shot. The foundation of the team is fractured, and the silence from its leaders is only making the cracks wider. Without a drastic course correction, a firm reestablishment of authority, and a renewed commitment to team-first culture, the next inevitable conflict won't just be a viral moment. It will be the explosion that brings the entire structure crashing down, bearing a season of immense potential under a pile of rubble and regret.